So this is one of the swales. Obviously things are being done on contour here. There's a bit of a slope. So the difference here between this site and the other site that we just visited, Tierra Amor, the difference is crazy. I'm always afraid in Costa Rica in the jungle to like dive my hand into a pile of unknown organic material. Snakes. So I won't do that.
As much as rain.
There's this big spider.
So I'm here in this agroforestry system in Costa Rica that is 3 years old. Now you might think, how is this agroforestry system 3 years old with such large trees? I'll tell you why. This area already had secondary growth. So it was a secondary forest, a lot of pioneer species, young scrubby trees when they first came in. And so some of them they've left, right? For example, this tree right here. They've left this tree. It's not in a tree line. They haven't organized the tree lines to go with the existing trees. You can see the support trees that were already existing, forming that shade, that canopy layer. Tree lines with citrus, with mango, cacao, jackfruit, all sorts of edible crops, bananas. Such a cool thing to see how to make an agroforestry out of an area that was already covered in trees. Made tree lines on contour. They've added swales every 30 meters or so down the landscape and just have the agroforestry lines following those swales, following that contour. Very cool. Here in Guanacaste in the dry tropical regions of Costa Rica. There's a full video. You can check that out on the Food Forest Fellowship new platform on School. Get Q&As, live sessions, exclusive stuff like this, long form interviews. Let's grow. So that's cool. It's a residential development where they're wanting to show what agriculture can look like in this area in the future. They were working with established like 8 to 10 year secondary forests, so lots of just established pioneer species. Huge benefit to that over starting with bare, like nothing. That's cool. And then 2-3 years ago, they started planting systems. They started doing water interventions to capture and retain water. Very excited to see what we see. Just made it to Shift Agroforestry. We're with Emmanuel here in Guanacaste.
Yeah, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. And this is an incredible agroforestry system. Lots of details to dive into here. Working with secondary forest, so established trees already in the landscape, retrofitting that into agroforestry. Emmanuel is the farm manager here.
Yeah.
We've got lots of exciting details to share. I think first we're gonna go look at some maps to see and just orient ourselves, like what's going on here.
Yeah, for sure. This is the map of the whole project, Chipa Esperanza.
The whole map.
It's a land of 44 hectares. We are right now at the main farm headquarters. We start early in the day to coordinate with the rest of the guys the activities that we are going to do through the day. We also have several small, sub areas of work. For example, we have a water filtration system here. We have a water filtration catchment system over there. We have the composting piles. We have the seed trays, the trays for drying seeds. So we do a lot of things in here, and this is the place where we start doing everything.
So just like general infrastructure for establishing and working in the agroforestry.
Exactly. Yeah. This project is a residential development. So in this area there are going to be around 30 houses. But
30
the idea,
houses.
yeah,
30 houses.
Yeah, 30 houses in the first phase. But the idea is to have a development, do things in a kind of different way. So we started with the farm, putting a lot of energy in the farm to develop a system that is going to help the people that lives in there to have a source of calories. That's why we started planting trees like a lot of jackfruit, a lot of jaca or breadfruit, and we want to, push the calories of the creation of calories for the people that is going to live there as much as we can. We also plant a lot of native forestry trees, to make a balance between the productive trees and also the trees that are going to, help the ecosystem and feed also the rest of the animals that live in there to eventually we are going to thrive,
Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go. You gotta have in mind that this farm is like a baby. It's like around 3 years old. This is going to be like the third rainy season, so we're going to increase density a lot more eventually, and in this rainy season we're going to start to planting a lot of more things.
I see.
Yeah.
So you give a nice disturbance, big management, and you replant stuff in it.
Yeah, we let a lot of the trees that were already in the land in there. Like you can see carao, you can see a lot of guasimo, a lot of native Guanacaste trees. We let a lot of those where they were, because before the farm started, there was like around 6 years of letting the land just rest. So a lot of forestry trees have been growing a lot. So we play with that. We let some trees to provide shade. We prune others, and constant management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like you didn't try to adjust the rows to incorporate all of the pre-existing trees, because that would have been, there would have been a lot of trees here.
Yeah.
To try and like make the rows weave and bob to incorporate all those existing trees. You've just left them in the alleys.
Exactly. There are a lot of those that are kind of upset, but the same thing. You gotta adapt to what nature provides and not just try to go against it, because you cannot win. You got to flow with it.
Well, that would have been a huge resource to come in and already have existing material, existing shade.
Yeah, exactly. So we take advantage of that.
And is that what all this material is coming from? Is this material from the existing trees that were already here?
From the pruning, from trees that naturally fell,
Yeah.
So we take all of that and put it in the main lines. And the dry seasons, you can see the difference between, this land and the land that is with mulch.
Yeah.
A lot more of life and
Great fungal activity here.
yeah. We also spray weekly a nice cocktail of liquid to all the land,
MMs?
Liquid mountain microorganisms.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, is that taking like indigenous microorganisms from the native areas around the soil that's
Exactly.
like undisturbed, and then bringing that here?
Exactly.
Cool.
You spray it through the drip line, or?
No,
No.
we are going to, but for now we just apply it with backpack sprayer,
Backpack sprayer? Okay.
Yeah,
Just follow your application?
exactly. Eventually we're going to apply it in the drip lines too, but we're working on that. We gotta have a new pump.
Yeah, the mechanical pump to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm working on something like that on my farm too, so.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep taking a look.
So in here we have main lines with the main fruit trees. We have a support line here with a lot of musaceus.
Yep. So high density support line of bananas and other support trees, and that's going to help provide organic material,
Exactly.
extra shade. Love that.
We have a lot of functions in here, so we try to take advantage of all that a plant can do. So for example, bananas are amazing to catching water and having water in its structure. So in the dry season, we can, harvest the fruit, cut the tree, and put the tree back in the soil, and that way it provides a lot of water and also organic matter to the soil. Yeah.
So those bananas are not fitting those lines, they're kind of fitting themselves?
Both.
Both? Okay.
We have enough bananas to fit the line itself,
And-
or also put a little bit, you can also cut the leaves and use the leaves as mulching. So it's a lot of, diversity and a lot of options that you have.
And what is that? 4 meters between tree line and the support line?
Around 5.
5 meters. Really?
Eventually, yeah.
Between these two?
Yeah. Eventually, no. Between the main, we have 10 in here. Yeah, go 5.
Yeah, wow.
In the support line. Eventually, we're going to have also chickens in here.
Yes.
So that's why we leave like this plain area with grass growing to have, more animals in here.
Cool. This is a really cool agroforestry system. It's started about 3 years ago in an established secondary forest, so there were already trees existing in the landscape. What they've done is they came and they pruned a bunch of the trees and they set up agroforestry lines. Now the really cool thing is this. Between these maybe 10-meter tree lines, they have a support line of really high density bananas, like 2 meters, 1.5 meters between the bananas, just for organic material. And they've left space here for chickens long term to run between the support line and the main line. Now the main line is full of this organic material from the pruning, right? From the existing established trees, you've got tons of life, you've got fungus, you've got insects. This is all turning into organic material to feed the high value tree lines in and amongst what was a secondary forest. Chickens down the track. Eventually, you can see they didn't actually bend all the lines to incorporate all the fruit trees or the existing trees. What a cool context. Shift agroforestry. So this is one of the swales. Obviously things are being done on contour here. There's a bit of a slope. We've got about a half a meter swale, maybe a meter plus wide on contour. On either side, we've got vetiver grass, maybe 2 lines of vetiver grass planted on each side of this swale. And in between that, we've got these alleys, these lines of agroforestry. Absolutely perfect for this dry tropical agroforestry system here in Guanacaste, where for a lot of the year they don't get any rain. And so in the dry season it gets very dry here, in the wet season very wet. So just working with those extremes, having these water harvesting systems in this context, super key. In a place like New Zealand, where we get rainfall throughout the year pretty evenly, maybe not so necessary. So the difference here between this site and the other site that we just visited, Tierra Amor, the difference is crazy with irrigation. I want you to notice how much more alive and lush everything is here. Versus at Tierra Amor, no irrigation. The dry season really had a bigger impact, so it's cool to see what an irrigated system looks like. And just a more diverse and dense system, to be honest. I mean, there's trees planted at least every meter, meter and a half here. It's, you know, obviously these are the trees that were already existing in the landscape that they pruned or left. Having shade is so important here. Having that shade, especially mid-season when the sun is intense and hot, it matters. And so working with the existing shade, if you have it, or whether you're in a frosty area and you're trying to build that microclimate, work with the existing microclimate. The theme here is just working with what you have. Hopefully you have irrigation, because obviously it makes a big difference. Hopefully you have existing organic material, and just look at this. I think this is called a, is this a Suriname cherry?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tart like a candy. That's nice.
How much space do you have between your swales?
The swales, we have around, you know, it's not a settled number. What we did in here is basically play with the original streams that were in the land. So we came in the land. I wasn't part of the original design process, but I know what the guys did. So they saw the main streams that naturally flowed through the land, and they start doing these ditches, these swales that are around, you know, like 12 meters between them. Nice. But it's a process of a lot of also observation, you know, in which we try to play with the things that naturally happen. So the first step is to look to the natural streams that flow through the farm
and then
the whole land.
Every lines are based on the swale contour?
Yeah, okay. They are. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can have the same space between each lines, so that you can move the chickens.
Kind of the same space, yeah.
It's more efficient in the management.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Greg was just saying from behind the camera, it's such a gift to have established canopy trees, established emergent trees. It makes the whole system feel that much more part of what's already happening here. Use existing trees if you have them. So we'd love to run through a list of kind of the main edible or the target crops that you've got going on here. Obviously we've got bananas, citrus, I'm seeing maybe some jackfruit,
Pitanga jackfruit,
breadfruit,
yeah,
the pigeon pea, those little Suriname cherry, acerola,
yeah, pitanga,
coconuts, pitanga.
We have a lot of coconuts.
Coconuts,
yeah. We have cacao also. You know, we try to plant trees that naturally grows, or that, you know, kind of easily grow in the this area. So we have a lot of aguacate. We have, you know, different species or musaceas, not just bananas. We have guineo, we have plantain, We have like 2 different species of bananas, so we played with all of that.
Hell yeah.
Cassava, quite a bit
A
of
lot
cassava.
of cassava, 3 different species of coconuts. So yeah.
Do you have like a really 1 or 2 target crop, or it's mostly just the general agricultural?
It depends on the area that we are seeing. For example, in that area that is called Carao, we have mainly jaca, that is jackfruit, and also breadfruit, fruta de pan. So that's like the main fruit species that we are aiming to.
Long term.
Long term, exactly, in the climax phase. In here, we have a lot of carambola, a lot of pitanga, that will be like the main species. And in that area, we have a lot of mango. So that's another climax species that we are aiming to have like big in the future.
Did you try some things and notice they weren't doing well and you've abandoned them since then?
Not abandon them totally, but we are seeing some patterns. For example, at the beginning, growing the breadfruit was kind of a challenge, because this is a super dry area in the dry season, and we have a lot of intensity of the sun irradiation. So at first the breadfruit leaves were kind of burning, so we did a job of covering them with another trees or another leaves, another kind of small structures. So we had to push it a little bit for them to be able to grow in the stage that are right now, and also play with the irrigation in the dry season. We try to irrigate as less as we can. This last dry season, we irrigated 3 times a week, 30 minutes each part of the land. So that's, compared to a conventional agricultural system, is like nothing. But also we try to be conscious about it. We have a lot of water from the well, but that doesn't mean that we gotta use it all. We gotta be like conscious about that.
And that amount probably makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Compared to if you just didn't irrigate whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And also you can see that difference when you see the lands of the neighbors. For example, that land that has cattle. So it's like, almost a desert in the dry season, and you're coming here. And the cows love it. We have cows jumping the fence all the time because they say, oh, this is paradise, and we are in the desert over there. So yeah, we can see the difference between this land and the neighbor's land.
And the cows can too.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah, the soil in here was pretty depleted, we have cattle in here before, so majority of it was compacted with a lot of clay, but you can start to see the changes with the big amount of organic matter that we have. So you can see like how the soil turned a little bit darker and looser, so we're seeing advances in the health of the soil so far. Yeah.
That looks pretty beautiful.
It'd be really interesting to go to a neighboring land and see what it looks like just in the secondary forest, and then what it looks like in the degraded areas where you're saying it's just cows on pasture, and just see the difference between that dark soil that we just looked at and then what it might be in some different areas where it's not managed with agroforestry. I wonder even what the difference would be between these alleys right here, these walkways,
Exactly.
and then right in here,
Yeah.
which I'm always afraid in Costa Rica in the jungle to like dive my hand into a pile of unknown organic material. Snakes. So I won't do that, but I'd be really interested to see what the soil looks like in here, but there's snakes.
I feel like we might be able to. Nice fungi. I guess it's been all wet too.
Yeah,
Nice.
we want to create a full plan, like to scientifically measure how the soil have evolved so far, comparing, as you said, like the the alley lands to the main lands, and also to the parts of the land that we haven't been working at. So we're working on a plan to develop kind of a model to be able to compare in a more measurable, with numbers way.
Super nice.
Because this is not only it's not only a development here, an example for what agriculture can look like in the future, but it's also probably to a degree a kind of research station.
Yeah,
Where you're actively doing the research, the cutting edge stuff that nobody in this area is doing in this way. And so you need to be having those measurable, hey, here's how we're improving with these metrics, the soil, the wildlife, the nutrient density of the food, whatever things you're wanting to look at, measure it, collect the data.
Exactly, yeah. And that's a way to see if we are like walking in the right direction, that we gotta do some corrections, to have that data.
The funny thing is that you can feel it here. You don't need the numbers to prove that you're going in the right direction. You're standing here, we're in the forest, it's shady, it's cool, it's humid, versus if we're out in the you can feel. But sometimes funding and some people need that data.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you first arrived here to do this work, it was a secondary forest. Does that mean it was really high density of trees of a similar age, and you've thinned most of them out, leaving some of the more mature and like optimal placed ones, or was it already kind of a low density secondary forest?
No, it was kind of the mid density, as you said in the first, high density, and we started picking trees and designing around water. So that's mainly what was done here.
So stage one was like a lot of clearing, see the land shape, and then figure out how do we manage the water with the land before we just like cut all the trees down.
Yeah, I mean, at first there was not even a road, all that was done by the farm guys, by the farm team, and that structure over there with the containers also, nothing of that was there. So that being like work or a job from like zero, Yeah.
And all of that pruning that happened here fed these lines initially with organic material.
Totally, and it is work that is constantly being developed, because we do around 2 big prune work,
Interventions.
Yeah, exactly. We use, this big, we call it rabo de zorro in Spanish. It's like a saw with a extended pole.
A chainsaw?
No, we use a manual saw. We're going to get a chainsaw, but we don't have it yet. It's in the shopping list. So we manually prune the branches of the trees, and we kind of give them the shape that we want. There is a canopy in the top, and like a more open space in the middle to the low places for the new trees to grow. And with that, we play with the sun, for the sun to be able to reach the plants that are growing in the rainy season. So we kind of promote growing a little bit more. We have water, we have sun, we want to have more sun for the trees that are growing. So with that work of pruning.
So how much work is that during the rainy season, especially when things are just absolutely blowing up? How much work is that managing however much land area is covered in agroforestry at the moment?
It's a non-stop work.
Non-stop?
If we are cutting grass, if we are pruning, we are doing a lot of stuff just to have things moving in the direction that we want,
Yeah. So non-stop pruning through is that like multiple days a week?
Yeah.
Most of the month?
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super intense. Yeah.
In dry season?
No, in dry season it lowers a lot. We just in dry season we focus in different stuff, like for example development, new structures. Last dry season we built a roof for the nursery that we're going to have in that area. So we change like the roles a little bit and the work that we do. It's like we adapt to what naturally happens in the land. It's like we adapt to rainy season, we adapt to dry season too.
It's cool. Like there's a lot of trees above, but there's still a lot of lights. Like it's not overly shady like you would find in like a deep forest.
You can see a pattern in the trees, like following the things that I told you. There is you don't see a lot of branches in the kind of mid to low area of the trees, and
very emergent.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why because of the pruning work that we do to the trees, and that's what we aim to have like the canopy in the top of the trees.
And another interesting thing about that is a lot of these emergent trees, the top layer, if you look at the actual shape of the leaves, they're like this. They're small leaves. Whereas in the understories where you start to have these broader leaves which would cast more shade. And so those emergent layers are really providing that dappled sunlight, but not oppressive shade. Whereas this is going to be, as it gets bigger and bigger, it will provide larger and deeper shade. Super cool. Super fucking cool.
planted with a lot of vetiver, just combat erosion, or is there any other function to that?
You know, to kind of fight erosion and to flow with it. We don't fight the things, we flow. But also it's an amazing, biomass source. So we prune it a lot in the rainy season, a little bit less in the dry season, but also provides a lot of biomass for the main lines. So it's an amazing species that, I recommend for almost every permaculture system.
Yeah, because I noticed you're not putting the organic material into the swale at all.
No.
You're putting all the organic material on the lines.
Eventually, we are going to plant some things in the swale, but we are not in that stage already. We are planning, maybe plant some rice in there, something that likes really the high moisture context. But for now, what we do is like when we dig again the swale to take a little bit of the soil that accumulates in there, because even if you have the vetiver as a barrier, we are going to have a little bit of soil accumulating in there. So we take it out, we put it in a pile next to it, and we plant that pile. That's where you can see a lot of cassava right now.
Yeah, gotcha. I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Let's do a detail for that.
Yeah, sure.
We're sitting on the downhill side of one of these swales, and you see all this exposed soil right here. This is actually taken material from inside the swale, because obviously swales, by their nature, they accumulate sediment, and so maybe once or twice every couple of years, once a year, they're coming in here and removing that layer of sediment, putting it on the downhill side, and then planting cassava or yucca or mandioca into that loose material. So making it productive, clearing more space in for the swale, and that adds fertility, right? That's nutrients, that's sediment, that's organic material. That's going to add to the system and make it productive. Very, very cool to see that.
Yeah.
Awesome detail.
And also taking that material out from the swale help us to have more storage capacity of water in the rainy season.
Love that. And when it is raining, how long do these swales stay full of water?
Oof, a lot. I mean,
like most of the rainy season?
Yeah, last year we have a bad rainy season. We don't have as much as rain.
There's this big spider.
I got that.
I'm not a spider person.
Wow. I was going to say, from all the things that you have in here, spiders are, the last thing to worry about. Okay? At least that is spider. We have big spider. And you're not a spider guy.
I'm not a spider man.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just a fucking big white spider.
Have you found synchronizing the system a hard thing, having all those trees above?
Yeah.
How do you interact with that?
Amazing
do you see a
questions.
do you even see a big difference?
Amazing question. Yeah. We do this pruning branches and stuff, and have the canopy that we aiming for. But also we're planning this rainy season to do kind of a full reset, in which we are going to cut all the trees at a similar height. So I mean to synchronize things, as you said, but this is a bit work that we are planning to do.
Yeah. And with how much work is already required here, you say you're working multiple days a week non-stop during the rainy season, I can imagine it's not as simple and straightforward as this is the 1 week where we prune and then we let it grow back for a period of time. It's just kind of always happening.
Yeah. We have 5 guys full-time here working, and it's observation work. I came all days in here, and I see, we're gonna prune this tree, we gotta plant more in here. It's a lot of observation, and I don't do it alone. All the guys work with that, and also it's like a constant feedback that I get from them and from the system. So we have a lot of discussion, and there's how we do things is in a pretty much community way. We communicate a lot, so it's not like someone gives the order, but all of us give opinion in how are we going to work. Because I'm not from this area. I'm from kind of San Jose, near to San Jose, the center of the country. But these guys have been working in here and living in here for all their lives, so they know the context of all the plants, the rain season, the dry season, where it's going to start raining, when it's not going to rain, when to plant, so they know a lot of this land.
Yeah, that would be invaluable.
It is, yeah. Exactly. Honey. That's a super Guanacastean thing, you know, to do this cut out honey. So that's another use of that tree, you know. Native tree and also can produce honey is pretty amazing, you know. Yeah.
Well, this has been a fantastic learning opportunity.
Yeah.
I really, really
Thank
appreciate
you for coming here.
Manuel. It's been an absolute pleasure
Yeah.
to meet you and see these systems.
Pleasure also was for me.
Yeah, and hopefully you're getting some value out of this. I know it's a very unique context that might not apply to everyone, but having established secondary forest, a severe dry season, lots of practical details and wisdom to tease apart from what they're doing here. So, mad respect. You guys are really putting in the work.
No, thank you very
See
much.
that it shows. When you walk into a healthy forest or in healthy agroforestry, you can tell. It has that energy. It has that feeling that it has people who care about it working with it. That's what it feels like here.
Thanks.
Very nice, man. Cool. And that was Shift Agroforestry. Very, very cool. Starting in agroforestry out of an early succession forest. What a great demonstration. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's grow.